Hey y'all, it's PK again, back with the high notes, and I'm here to talk with you about spring fragrances, which is super fitting since we are creeping further and further out of April's almost over. We're moving on out of April, into May. We big tourist gang. We about to enter tourist season, like the sign most associated with spring. So yeah. Let's get into that. But first, what are spring fragrances? So spring fragrances to me, I think of florals, I think of the rose, I think of the lilies, I think of the jasmine, I think of tuberose, I think of white musks, I think of maybe some aquatic notes here and there. They can kind of share those with summer. I think of gourmand facets, as spring is more so the transition into the hotter months. So you can still get away with wearing your vanillas, your chocolates, your honeys, your cinnamons, in probably smaller doses than you would normally, but it's still cool enough to rock those along with a combination of other spring forward things. So I wanted to get into one of my favorite fragrances, a fragrance that I cannot see my collection without. I think it may have been the second fragrance that I had ever gotten, but the first one that I fell in love with, like the first time that I smelled it, and that is Kayali's Yum Pistachio Gelato. I remember in my early days of fragrance when I was just on a Fragrantica looking for just something interesting, something that like popped out to me. And I saw this bottle. I liked the shape. I liked the top. I started looking at the notes. Things started checking out. It wasn't for a while until I picked it up, but I remember I went in there when I finally could, and it was the very first fragrance that I bought out of Sephora. So we can get into the note composition of this fragrance. It does have quite a lot. I did not really know that it wasn't super normal to have a fragrance with so many notes, but this they make it work. Kayali, she did her thing. So this fragrance has top notes of pistachio gelato, hazelnut, Italian bergamot, sweet rum, and cardamom. Hard notes of white peach, muguet, jasmine, raspberry, white peony, green pear, and geranium. Base notes of whipped cream, marshmallow, cotton candy. I love these base notes. I really love these base notes. Turkish delight, cocoa, cedarwood, sandalwood, and tonka bean. So I remember seeing these notes, and like a lot of other enthusiasts, I remember thinking that I was going to get something rich, decadent, super, maybe hyper edible. That's not necessarily what you're getting here, but you get something else in the best way. So what you actually end up getting from this, the very first sniff that comes to my mind is the Italian bergamot. It's very sparkling, a little bitter, not bad bitter. You'll get this hazelnut pistachio dance going on. The hazelnut actually plays really well with the pistachio ice cream. The pistachio ice cream is more of a smoothness to me, not necessarily straight up pistachio, but it's more like a smooth creaminess, and the hazelnut comes in and does this mingling that plays very well with the note. Personally, to my nose, I don't get a lot of the rum, and I don't get a lot of the cardamom. I love rum as a note. I'm not really picking up a whole bunch of facets. I'm sure it's back there somewhere. I don't get a lot of the cardamom. Cardamom is usually like, the warm and spiciness of it all. That's another thing I don't normally get here. Once again, not a bad thing. Now, I'm not the biggest peach fan. The white peach note in here, though, I absolutely detect it. in the middle notes as it dries down on skin. It's more transparent. Like you get the idea of a peach, which I love. That's the type of peach that I like. We don't need to do too much with it. We know she's here. She's not doing too much, but she's in the room with us. Now I do get the geranium, but the geranium comes off to me slightly aromatic. There is a soft freshness that it ushers in, and I think it ushers in very well. I think it comes in behind the raspberry and complements the tartness. It's a slight tartness from the raspberry that I get. And I love a raspberry note down. My skin loves to pull that. I think it smells really, really good on me. But I love that mingles pretty well as well. So the florals and fruits, the jasmine, the muguet, which is, if I'm not mistaken, French for lily. Lily, I think it's lily of the valley, and the white peony. They all play really nice together in the middle. I think that's actually where a lot of the controversy was coming from, because with this mainly, it spends a lot of time being more floral fruit focused. It doesn't lose its edible nature, but it's not the star of the fragrance. The fragrance more so lives in this purgatory between it starting out edible and then being very wearably fresh and playful. Now, as I said before, the base notes are my favorite. The whipped cream, the marshmallow, the cotton candy, these type of very light but still sugary and low-key edible notes, high-key edible notes, still maintain this interplay of playful fruity freshness and the kind of come hither edibleness at the bottom of it, which is what we'll be wearing for the duration of the fragrance. Now, as for performance, I get really good performance from this. At least 6 hours. At least 6 hours. It is not uncommon for this fragrance to last on me all day. It's one of my favorites about it, with it already being as versatile as it is. I'm getting a good amount of wear on skin and on clothes. On clothes, it's easily lasting all day. Skin, minimum 6 hours for me. Now, I do have very hydrated skin, that I'm sure that plays a part into that. I make sure that I don't go lacking in that area, but this fragrance really does make it easy. As for projection, I would say this is more of a arm's length, maybe slightly less, but it makes up for it with the sillage. While you're walking around doing what you do, the sillage on this is low-key magical. I got compliments on this all the time at work, just walking around, from the break room to the desk. People was asking what the fragrance was. This fragrance actually got me known on my old team to be Mr. Pistachio, which I loved as a term of endearment. So as we close out, I wanted to share just a mental image that I get when I smell this fragrance. When I smell fragrances that deeply resonate with me, my mind just kind of moves around and is stimulated and kind of comes up with its own fantasy imagery. So I want to share that with y'all. Sorry, y'all, my little ring light kind of died on me, but we ball out. Anyway, do have a substitute. So, scene, I get transported to a field of tall mint green grass. The sun has just turned the sky a cold blue. The chill from the night mingles with the awakening warmth. The fields of grass give way to a forest clearing teeming with sugar plum fairies, playing in flowers, floating down a creamy lake, creating ethereal clouds of fairy dust. So yeah, this fragrance definitely gives me a playful, alluring fairy type of vibe. Definitely, once again, very versatile, fitting into whatever occasion, whatever weather. On top of that, with wonderful performance. So, needless to say, I absolutely recommend this fragrance for this time of year. I can't see my collection without it. I don't know if y'all can see the huge dent in this bottle, but I will be getting another one. I'm down to my last, like, maybe 1/8 of the bottle. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. And in the next video, we will continue with spring scents. Thank y'all.